Welcome to this training explainer from Analytics Photo Energy. If you manage a solar plant, performance is everything. But what if I told you that there are silent thieves robbing your plant of energy and cash right now? Well, today we're going to turn you into a data detective. We'll give you the tools to hunt down these hidden losses and protect your investment.
Let's just start with a number, 106 euros. Doesn't sound like a whole lot, does it? But that's the actual financial loss a pretty small 10 kilowatt peak system can rack up in just 1 year from a tiny 5.7% drop in its performance. Now just imagine scaling that up across a multi-megawatt plant. Yeah, those numbers get big really, really fast.
And that right there is the central mystery we're here to solve. You see, it's not about the big, catastrophic failures that set off all the alarms. It's about the slow, creeping issues, those silent thieves that quietly eat away at your performance day in and day out. So, how do we catch them in the act? Okay, let's dive into this. I want you to think of your solar plant as a crime scene, where the evidence isn't obvious at all. We're not talking about some massive inverter failure that shuts everything down, no. We're talking about the combined effect of little things, like a bit of dirt, some degradation, or maybe just one faulty module that a basic monitoring system would completely miss.
Here's the thing. Every single clue you need to start your investigation is already being collected. Your SCADA system, your inverter logs, your weather data. Think of all that as the first report from the crime scene. The real key is to stop just glancing at dashboards for a simple green light or red light and start treating this data as a goldmine of evidence just waiting to be analyzed.
So, how do we examine all these clues? Well, you can't solve a complex case with just a flashlight, right? You need a proper detective's toolkit. Simple monitoring, that's your flashlight. It tells you if the power's on or off. But advanced analytics, that's your magnifying glass, your whole forensics kit. It reveals the hidden patterns, the fingerprints.
Our first tool in the kit is trend analysis. This is how you catch the really slow-moving suspects. You're comparing, say, an inverter's performance today against its performance last week, last month, or even this same time last year. That's how you spot those gradual declines. Is soiling slowly building up? Is a component degrading faster than it should be? This is the tool that makes those invisible, slow-moving trends pop right out.
Next up is pure comparison, and this one is an absolute game changer for spotting outliers. Let's say you've got 20 identical inverters, all soaking up the same sun. If 19 of them are humming along at 98% efficiency, but one is stuck at 95%, boom, you've just found a key suspect. Without comparing it to its buddies, that 95% might have looked perfectly fine all on its own.
And this is where things get really cool. Anomaly detection. This is like having a team of detectives watching your data 24/7. The system learns what normal looks like for your plant, factoring in sunlight, temperature, you name it. And it automatically flags anything that steps out of line. It literally finds problems you didn't even know you should be looking for.
Okay, let's get into the investigation itself. A good detective doesn't just wander around looking for clues. They follow a clear, structured process. It's all about starting broad and then systematically narrowing things down until you've got your culprit cornered. We do the exact same thing with our plants.
We call this the multi-level diagnostic approach, and really it just works like a funnel. We start at the top, level 1, with that high-level SCADA data to see the big picture. Then we move to a visual survey on site. From there, we use targeted electrical testing to figure out how bad the loss is. And finally, a thermal survey to pinpoint the exact physical cause. Each step gets us closer and closer to the truth.
Now, what's really crucial here is how we combine evidence from different case files. We start with the big stuff, like SCADA and weather data. But to really nail down a fault, we need detailed electrical measurements like IV curves, which are basically a fingerprint of a solar panel's health. It's only by layering all these different clues, from the wide-angle view down to the microscopic detail, that we can build a case that's impossible to argue with.
So let's see how this actually works in a real-world scenario. This is where the power of putting all this data together becomes crystal clear. We're going to look at two situations that start with the exact same symptom, but as the evidence rolls in, lead to totally different verdicts and actions.
So here's the initial report. SCADA says power output is down by 5%. Now the big question is, why? Is it just a uniform layer of dirt across the panels that needs a simple cleaning? Or is it something way more serious, like a critical internal fault in the module that could cause even more damage? Right now, without more data, we're just guessing. This is where it all comes together, right here in our data integration matrix.
Let's look at that first scenario. Power's down 5%. A visual check shows no damage. Critically, electrical tests show everything is behaving normally, and a thermal scan shows all the modules are at a nice, uniform temperature. See? Every single piece of evidence points to the same conclusion. It's probably just soiling. The action is clear. Schedule a cleaning.
But now, look at the second case. Starts exactly the same. Power's down 5%, visual check is clear. But this time, the electrical and thermal data tell a completely different story. The current is low. And then, the thermal scan finds the smoking gun. One module is a whopping 20 degrees Celsius hotter than its neighbors. That single piece of thermal data changes everything. The verdict is no longer soiling, it's an internal cell fault, and the action is to replace that module immediately. A totally different maintenance strategy.
This quote just summarizes the philosophy perfectly. We use broad, fast tools like thermal imaging as our scout to quickly scan the whole site and find potential suspects, those hotspots. Then we bring in the precise tools, like an IV curve tracer, which acts as our forensics lab. It runs the detailed tests, confirms the exact fault, and tells us how bad the damage really is.
And this is why this all matters. This whole data-driven approach moves you from guessing to knowing. It stops you from sending a cleaning crew to fix an electrical fault or an electrical team to solve a soiling problem. It turns a generic maintenance task into a precise, targeted, and cost-effective action that saves you time, it saves you money, and it makes sure your plant is producing every last watt it can.
So, we'll leave you with this final thought. Your data is talking. It's telling you stories about your plant's health every single day. The real question is, are you listening? It's time to put on your detective hat, open up those case files, and find out what silent thieves are hiding in your data.